So Alex, a 2-1 win against Bury today. Bit of an emotional roller coaster for you.
Yeah, I'm shattered, and I think if I'm shattered, I can't imagine what players are like. Yeah, it's a good win, it's a big win, and regardless, without sounding too managerish, like you said, sort of off camera, it's 3 points we need. We desperately need it. I think we've sort of showed over the past few games. I mean, this week since Linux last week, points return superb. Linux at home when they're flying, Chasetown when they're flying, and Bury when they're flying. To get 5 points from them three, superb return. So it probably just makes the last week a good week for us. It can't just be like the highlight of the season in October. It's important that we don't fall victim to what we've fallen victim to the past few years, where this best moment happens in October. We need to make sure that we maintain it and find sort of better moments or good moments through the season. And just have a night like tonight. Why not?
So Mason scores the first goal today. Maybe it's me, but big time shades of Hensford last year, where he goes and pulls the worldie out, and you think, well, hold on. But the game felt really different to that. I thought, maybe you'll say the same, but we seem to get a lot of joy down the wings. Obbs and Rio were excellent today.
Yeah, Hensford was mentioned in the changing rooms. I mentioned it in my team talk. Sort of talked about special nights that happened at Teal Park over the past few years, and Hensford was one of them. Against a team that's got probably similar resources, similar sort of ambitions, really, to achieve something. And listen, I had a wry smile on my face when I was driving over from Bradford, when the weather in Bradford was nice, and then I got a phone call saying that we're awful here. And I realised that this is not a great place to be on a Tuesday night. And everyone sort of said it from us. And I think there were a lot of similarities between Hensford at home and tonight. And Mason's the one that gets a goal. I didn't realise it had gone in, for one. It was a bit of a weird feel. I just thought it had gone wide. But yeah, we've worked on attacking runs. We've worked from runs middle and supporting through central areas. We know that we have to score more goals. There's no two ways around that. We have to try and make sure that we're scoring from different areas. So for Mason, who were unreal again. I think he's put probably 3 performances in after he was below par at Trafford. He'll say that himself. But the past week, he's showed entirely what Mason Fons is about. In a position that's probably a bit not alien to him, but we're asking him to do something a bit different. And I thought he was, after the first 10 minutes where we had to get to grips with certain movements, I thought he was unreal. I thought him and Isaac sort of ran it, to be fair, in the middle. So, really good for Mason to get on the score sheet again. He just needs to keep ticking away and sort of seeing where this season can take him.
And Obbs gets the second goal, but probably the thing that stood out at half-time or coming out at half-time was probably, I think most people expected a bit of an onslaught from Bury, given the scoreline and sort of how the first half had ended, but we came out of the blocks really quickly in the second half and created quite a few good chances. I think G and Obbs combined really well at one point, but then Obbs gets the goal. People say it's a lucky goal, but he puts in the work to get there and puts the keeper under pressure, and it's a big moment in the game.
Massive, huge. We've learned from mistakes. The one that stands out for me, the two that stand out for me this season, Nantwich and Congleton. So Congleton, we were 1-0 up. I thought we were in full control of that, and then we've conceded within 5 minutes in the second half. Same with Nantwich, within 2 minutes in the second half. I think we've done it elsewhere as well. So we've had to learn from the moments that when we're taking a lead against a team that's, and Bury were putting us under a lot of pressure second half, end of first half. It was important that we didn't let them get momentum. I didn't realise how quick we'd start and how brightly we'd start. Obbs did his best to miss that second goal. That's come from a frontline pressure of just putting them under pressure, constantly trying to put them under pressure. And I sort of said earlier to someone else that pace kills sides, and we had our front line today put their back line under enormous amounts of pressure. Yeah. As did their front line, put our back line under enormous amounts of pressure. I think it was probably a last line game, more so than a midfield battle. Look, we've come on top of it. So it's good to get a 2-0 lead. Probably hard conceding. I think they then, at one point, they were playing a shape of like 3-7. And we just had to, we weren't quick enough. Entirely my fault. We weren't quick enough to change to combat that. And the goals come from a second phase of a set, but he will come in really won it. Let's be honest. And I think once we changed to a bit of a box 4-4-2, and we had quick men up top, we were able to get out, and it weren't as much of an onslaught in the last 15 that what I were expecting it to be. And probably the change in shape, we should have done it earlier. I thought Callum came on was superb. I thought Harvey came on was superb. So it's a good win for us. It's been a really good week. But like I said earlier on, it can't just be this week can't be the best thing that happens this season. I'm quite driven for that not to be the case.
And you've said in the week, obviously you said about building blocks, but you feel like I think we spoke on Saturday and you said this is part of we don't want to start quickly. We're a team that's going to build through the season. Is this part of that then?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, beating Bury at home is not going to define this season, but just in the same time that losing to Bury at home is not going to define this season. It's not part of the master plan was drawing as many games as we've drawn because we're going to beat Bury at home. Like that's not the master plan of it. But it is probably showing. I think the most pleasing element of it is its consistent performances for 3 games, and they're 3 tough games. Three really hard games, and the 3 games in which, as a fan, I don't think you're too far off thinking, bad result against Trafford or poor performance against Trafford. 3 games coming up, God, we'll do well to get a point. And I know there were a couple of people worrying about, but we've had faith in these lads. We are looking to build on what we've got. We are distinguishing a style of play as we go. And I've made the point a couple of times, we can't with a finished article in August. We can't. And we've got to build as we go. And tonight's the good moment that we've probably lacked this season. If you think back to last season, we had Whitby away quite early on, and it really builds you as a team, doesn't it? Yeah. And I don't want tonight to be that moment, but I want this week to be that moment of trust each other, see where it can take you. But as an individual, you've your pride, and because the GPS data, the data we get from games and everything like that, there's no hiding place on an individual sort of point of view of what happens, in the game. But a lot of it's character and heart, and we really showed it in abundance tonight. And to get the 3 points is enormous for us.
And probably the thing that it might be a controversial statement, I suppose, but you've seen Finn again today, and he has just made big saves at big moments, and he's been outstanding again today. Is he the best keeper in the league?
He weren't on Saturday because he didn't play. He's very good. He's made a big save where he's tipped it over at bar, and that's a superb save. I thought his kicking really relieves pressure with it. But I don't think he's at his best. I don't think he's been required as much as he has other times this season. I really don't. And he's got a man at match at bar, and fair enough. You can pick whatever you want. But for me that the centre halves have done a job where they've protected Finn to have to be the one that gets us out of bother. And he has been. Don't get me wrong. And I do think he's definitely up there with it. 100% do, and we rate him really highly. I think his first kick worked great. Let's forget about that one. But I do think he can relieve so much pressure. But then PD came in Saturday, and
he was good.
Yeah. He had an aura about him that just looked like belonged at this level. So we've got 2 superb keepers, and PD's pushing Finn in training, and PD's learning from Finn, and for me, I thought the back 4 was superb. I thought the midfield was superb. I thought Sean ran himself into the ground that protected the back 4. And I think Robbo's just said it to me in the bar there that everyone were a 9 out of 10, and you can't really distinguish between anyone. So I think it's a bit unfair to put sort of so much praise on Finn, and I don't really like praising keepers either at the best of times, but he is up there, 100% he's up there. But he's got to maintain that level. There's no 2 ways around it. And I've said to Finn that he's still at a really good age as a keeper. And he's got a really good career in football ahead of him.
And we move on. Shifnal at the weekend, another long journey, another journey to the Midlands again. So a tough game. A team who's performed well in the league so far this year. So how do you sort of bring the players, I guess, not back down to earth, obviously, like you said before, but off the euphoria of today and focused on Shifnal at the weekend?
I think you got to ride it. The point I've made to the lads is that this is a really good week. It's a good week. Don't follow a good week with a bad week. Don't be let's raise this game for over 1,000 at home against Bury. Same against Linnets and Chasetown, but they're not. Shifnal are just in the same form that what anyone else is in form in this league. So this league's relentless. This league's unforgiving. We've experienced it. Bury have experienced it tonight and Saturday. I've watched the game back on Saturday for them. They had how they've not scored. I've absolutely no idea. And it is unforgiving. If you are off it, you will get punished. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. And what Mosley do we want to be? Do we want to be a team that shows up in big moments and then don't bother for the rest of it? So we'll train on Thursday. We've got ideas in place already for Shifnal, and we'll see where it takes us. But for us, we've got to enjoy it for the next 24 hours. But yeah, work starts again Thursday, Saturday.
Well done, and thanks, Alex.
Cheers, Ethan.